This is a Chronicle podcast, bringing you ideas in the service of medicine.
From the Chronicle podcast system, this is the NPC podcast of the National Pharmaceutical Congress for February 9, 2022. The NPC podcast was created to discuss and consider the purpose, process and people of the pharma industry during the COVID era. We'll continue the healthcare conversation by answering questions sent by listeners, just like you. This program is presented in cooperation with Imprez, Canada's next-generation commercial partner. The industry is rapidly evolving, and Imprez is designed to help you evolve with it. Learn more about Imprez tailored best-in-class solutions at www.imprez.com. Our guest today is Michel Lavoie, President of Dermtek Pharma. Michel will join your hosts, Jim, Mark, and Mitch, to talk about entrepreneurship, growing up in the drug business, and other subjects of interest. To start this week's conversation, here is Mitch Shannon, CEO of Chronicle Companies.
Welcome to the NPC podcast. I'm your co-host, Mitch Shannon. Joining me today in our podcast gondola overlooking all the center ice action, we have Mark McElwain, consultant and senior health policy expert. Mark, to you and your fellow Buffalo Bills fans across Southern Ontario, my deepest condolences.
Yeah, that was quite the ending, and for the Bucks too. Although for Brady, there never does seem to be an ending.
True enough. And with us in the gondola is Mr. James Shea, General Manager at the Council for Continuing Pharmaceutical Education. Jim, I see Montreal will not be sharing an MLB team with Tampa Bay. So much for the Expo Devils, or whatever they might have been called.
Yeah, I mean, I favored the idea of calling them the depots because it would have been where all of the sad memories would have been kept.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. I think that covers our quota of preamble sports chatter for today. We are your hosts, known to listeners as Jim, Mark, and Mitch, because all the really clever names have already been trademarked, such as A Tribe Called Quest or Flomax. Jim, Mark, get ready. I'm here to warn you that here today you're up against two guys named Mitch. So you're probably used to me by now, almost, sort of. But our guest also answers to the name of Mitch. Let's welcome a great friend of the podcast, Michel Lavoie, CEO of Dermtek Pharmaceuticals in Montreal. Mitch, thanks for dropping by.
Well, Mitch, thanks for having me. Good to see you, Mark and Jim.
And welcome, yes.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to be here. How's everyone feeling?
Oh, not too bad. So for full disclosure to our audience, Mitch and I have known each other a long time. In fact, Mitch, I think it was right after you got your first tattoo at the age of 11. Is that about right?
That's quite possible. Yeah, that must be the Dermtek logo, I believe, on my back. Yeah, full size, yeah.
I think that's right. For those of our listeners who are perhaps not as familiar as we are on this podcast, can you tell us a bit more about Dermtek Pharma? You're a family-owned business with Canadian roots, and you're competing against some very large multinationals with deep pockets. What's the Dermtek story in 180 seconds or less?
Well, the Dermtek story is a great story. It starts in 1985. My father, Bob, with the help of my mother, Nicole, my father, who had previously worked 20 years in the industry, 10 for Westwood, and 10 for TransCanada Therapeutics, which became Canderm, decided with my mom's help to start Dermtek in the basement of the family home. And so gives up, a well-paying job, sells his small sports car and sailboat, remortgages the house, takes a bank loan. And so his accountant at the time said, Bob, this is absolute madness. You can't do this. And so Bob quickly found a new accountant because he was really set on his vision of really creating Canada's first wholly owned family business, specializing really in dermatology and creating much needed over-the-counter products. So we've come a long way. My sister and I have been following in our parents' footsteps since 2017 now. The business is celebrating its 37th year, which is incredible to believe in a multinational dominated industry. So we're very proud to say that today we employ 26 amazing people, and we're quite relevant in the industry.
Michel, it's Mark. So, back to that logo. You were literally born into the pharma business. I understand your parents had you and your sister doing tasks such as labeling boxes pretty much as soon as you were out of diapers. So did you ever contemplate any other line of work?
Well, I was definitely exposed to a lot of hard work. Two parents that were really trying to lift this new business off the ground. A father that was on the road quite a bit. I have fond memories of hearing the typewriter going off till about 4 a.m, and my mother writing letters to doctors. And this is, before computers, of course. And so post office runs with mom and her rabbit GTI to the post office with physician samples. I did get involved in other projects, a few in event marketing. I did get involved also in the construction of a 9-hole golf course on Nuns Island in Montreal, which was an interesting feat. But, dermatology has always been in my life, having the chronicles of skin and allergy laying around and the American Academy journals, cutaneous medicine. I was very exposed at a young age to graphic pictures of psoriasis, eczema, of genitalia. So it was really a part of our upbringing, traveling across the country to these great Canadian dermatology meetings, getting to meet other families and physicians. And it has truly developed into a passion. Over the years, it's really something we love. My sister and I are having a blast. And my sister's got a great eye for marketing. I'm more of a sales guy, so we really complement each other quite well.
So it's Jim here. Yeah, it's not just skin deep in your family. Really bad one. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. So just before the pandemic struck, you relocated your new bricks and mortar just off the 40 in Dorval, a couple of kilometers actually from my offices in Saint Laurent. How has the ongoing pandemic affected things day to day at Dermtek Pharma?
Yeah, great point. We founded in 85 in Pierrefonds in the basement, moved to 1600 Trans-Canada Highway in 89. And then in 2018, we were expropriated because of the construction of this new light rail train system here, which is very impressive. And it's, I believe, going to be completed this year. So we relocated to 7600 Trans-Canada, which ironically is right at the end of the infamous pharmaceutical highway. So at the corner of St. John's exit and Highway 40. So for us, it's been an amazing move. It's changed a lot for us. The first time in our company's history, we actually have our own loading dock, could you believe? So, at the previous address, we had to deal with a third-party logistics company, seeing as we were up on the mezzanine, up on the second floor. So that created, slower shipping times. And with the pandemic, we were faced with multiple back orders, shortages of raw product, active ingredients, components, bottles, caps from overseas. The production of finished goods takes more time. We've seen, of course, price increases across the board. So day-to-day operations, we've seen half of our staff still working remotely till this day from home. With technology and remote working off the laptop, it works quite well for some. There's other positions that, we do have to be in-house. So the other half works here at the office. We've managed to maximize some of this empty office space and actually use it for storage in some cases. Seeing as we've got a lot of square footage here, just trying to maximize our locales. It just really has been trying to respect deadlines more than anything, I have to say. Everything's been delayed. Trucking is now a huge issue. So it's just trying to predict and be ready for the next quarter in many cases.
Well, that's interesting. Those are different answers than we've been getting from other people. You're talking about the meat and potatoes of the business and really keeping everything moving. So that's an interesting insight for sure. And I guess that begs this next question is that, things have changed over the pandemic. What are some of the things that are for the better and are going to stay around?
Yeah, great question. We often hear this expression where, we had to pivot quickly, adapt with these video conferences, and more than ever, technology is our best friend. We've tried to replace emails with phone calls. There's a lot of times where, quick email is easy, but there's also something to be said about speaking to someone over the phone. These face-to-face meetings, in my opinion, will resume slowly but surely, although, people's time is valued more than ever, I think. So it's just finding that balance. Relationships built over the years, of course, have a huge say in all this. Yeah.
Michel, it's Mark again. So a little bit more on technology, and we're just sort of wondering whether high technology has changed the way you deal with your customers, whether there's any transformation there in how you deal on the sales side.
Customer relations, customer service has always been extremely important to us. A quick follow-up has always been our mantra. Now with technology, analytics, emails, you think of customer geography, customer relationship, the accessibility is greater than it's ever been. So we've got these incredible tools. So it's just finding the right ways and using them, I think, at this point, and making it all worth the while without being too repetitive at times.
You're listening to the NPC podcast, where we're chatting with Michel Lavoie, CEO of Dermtek Pharma, on the TCAN in Dorval, Quebec. Dermtek's founder, your dad, had a gift for product development. With your mom, established Umbrel and Reversa and other skincare brands that continue to thrive. Michel, will new launches continue to play a role in Dermtek's growth?
Absolutely, Mitch. You're right. Bob was a visionary. He had a great eye and was always avant-garde, very much so, with many of the product launches. For us, innovation, R&D plays a huge role here at Dermtek. Our last OTC launch was a great product for rosacea called Rosa Derm, an antiparasitic. We've introduced at least 2 or more products a year. We're getting ready to launch 2 new Acnex products for the Acnex acne lineup. All of our products formulated in-house in our laboratory with our incredible chemist and the help of our scientific director, GM, and sales team. We really do a lot of focus grouping, and we've never had to purchase a license or turnkey product ready to go. So, really by listening to physicians and patients' needs, we were also recently able to resurrect some oldies but goodies, therapies that were discontinued by some of our competitors. So, working closely with patients and dermatologists has always been, our strong suit. And I think we will always continue to invest in that avenue for sure. Absolutely.
Michel, it's Mark. Stepping back, the extended Lavoie family, your uncles and aunts, they're very well known for successes in different creative endeavors, including advertising, design, landscape architecture. Now, despite the creativity you guys have brought to it, pharma is seldom thought of as a creative type of business. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, interesting. Well, thanks for that, Mark. Yes, my Aunt Brenda, she has a successful graphic design company called Bazooka Design and is responsible for the Umbrella logo and many of our artworks over the year with Reversa and other over-the-counter products. My Uncle Paul is known worldwide, really, for his advertising expertise and having worked for Cassette in the past and then having started his own agency called Taxi. Paul has since moved into a new space. He started a company called Bow Lake, which specializes in high-end paddleboards, electric boats, all things cottage and lake related. So, but that's true. Pharma, I guess, traditionally has always been a little more serious, on the medical side, of course. I guess growing up in the industry, I have memories of, sharing an egg salad sandwich with a warm 7-Up at the hospital with, young residents, sharing a cup of soup with a coffee. And it was a different time. And this is way before ad boards and, the big meetings as we know them today. But I think that marketing definitely plays a huge role. It's a serious business. It's clinically driven, data driven. I remember Bob receiving the Healthcare Marketing Hall of Fame Award in 2004.
Sounds about right.
I was there, yeah.
As was I. Yeah, so there's definitely room for improvement, let's say.
Well, it's Jim here. This is very interesting, this whole history and the breadth and depth of this. Maybe I'm going to talk a little bit or ask a little bit more about market drivers here. Here it is, the modern high def video, Zoom meetings, you got to be camera ready. Have you actually seen an increase in the demand for your aesthetic dermatology products, or is it just me using them?
We have no way of knowing, Jim. We can't really see you well, but we've definitely seen an increase in demand, an increase for portable products, good efficacy, easy to find, dermocosmetic products. In fact, we've been able to double our Reversa sales in the past 4 years, since 2017. So that's definitely an indicator that obviously with great dermatologist support, pharmacists, cosmetic managers support, a loyal clientele, combined with buy local movement, great efficacy at a fair price, have all been contributing factors to our growth for sure.
That's interesting because I started using your umbrella, believe it or not, when I was doing my graduate work up in the Arctic, and we had to use it because, you've heard of snow blindness, but people don't realize how sunburned you can get being out on the snow and it's all reflection. So, and I always carried around some of the umbrella little samples in my glove compartments in my car too, because you never know when you were going to have to slap something on your face or your hands or wherever. So yeah, I've been using your stuff for a long time.
Amazing. Good man. Well, that's great to hear.
And that's why I look so good. Take a better look at my face, you know?
You'll have to show me your pictures from the Arctic sometime. That sounds very exciting time.
Will do.
Michel, it's Mark again. And another problem we're hearing more about just lately is acne, which is triggered by wearing facial masks for extended period. It's now actually part of the language too. It's maskne. And there are countless videos on this theme. I wonder if you could comment on how social media can help change the business and bring things to the fore in a huge hurry.
Yeah, great point. The maskne, we've had a huge demand for our acne line, more than ever now with this maskne. With all the different platforms, you think of LinkedIn, the TikTok, the Instagram, Facebook, plus many well-known influencers. The information is coming in quickly, faster than ever, really. New trends, new product launches, new actives. We're seeing more and more quick sales increases following online doctor or influencer favorites recommendations, for sure.
Oh, Jim back here again. I guess it's time for us to go put on our soothsayer's hat and go sit in our prognostication corner. What predictions do you make about life sciences industry during 2022?
I don't know if I will make any predictions. Human beings have evolved over and over for thousands of years. Medicines will continue year after year. It's truly amazing how far we've come, to be quite honest, in such a short time. From discovering hydrocortisone to the latest medicines and therapies, it's truly remarkable. I'm more optimistic than ever that the best, I would say, is yet to come.
We've been speaking with Canadian entrepreneur and avid outdoorsman, Michel Lavoie, who, when he's out on the trails or out on the lake or hanging around the sugar shack, goes by the voyageur nickname of Mitch. So, sir, thanks for sharing your time and knowledge with our listeners. Hope we get to see some of you Lavoies in person very soon.
Well, hope to see you as well, guys. Appreciate your time today. Thanks for having me, and hope to see you live at the next CDA meeting there, Mitch.
You will, sir. I certainly hope that's the case.
Do you have questions for Michel, or any comments for us about today's conversation? If so, tag us on Twitter at 2021 NPC. You can also send an email to health@chronicle.org. Attach a voice clip to your message and you might appear in an upcoming episode. If you enjoyed today's NPC podcast, please do share it with your colleagues. Find us at Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you're listening to us on February 9th, today is Ronnie Miller Day. Join us this morning for a special session of the National Pharmaceutical Congress honoring Ronnie. Log in at www.tiny.cc/NPCRonnie. The NPC podcast is presented in cooperation with Imprez, Canada's next-generation commercial partner. Visit them at www.imprez.com. I'm your announcer, Leona Void of Chronicle Companies. The podcast producer is Jeremy Visser. John Evans and Christella Ruiz provided research. The musical theme is performed with single-minded focus by the NPC Podcast Orchestra, under the direction of Maestro Sonchuela Millbrook. We'll speak again next week, when our guest will be David Renwick, of Emergent Biosolutions. Until then, have a happy Ronnie Miller Day.